G'day guys, Seeney here and welcome to another episode on the Australian Wealth channel. And in this video, we're going to be talking about why lockdowns are actually good for real estate. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Really helps to get these videos out to more people, which is what we want. Do it! So if you live in Australia, you're pretty much aware that half the country's been in and out of lockdown over the last month or so. So especially in Sydney, it's been the hardest hit. We're getting a lot of cases of the Delta variant and we just don't have the population being vaccinated yet to lift those lockdowns. So we're probably going to be in this lockdown for an extended period of time, and we'll be in a lockdown longer than any other city in Australia. You know, also in America, there's also the threat of going back into lockdowns. You know, we've seen that under the Biden administration. So there's a lot of uncertainty around this new variant. So of course, governments, as governments do, they want to lock down populations for the greater good. So what we're seeing here is what we saw last year with lockdowns. And what we saw last year with real estate and the stock market was just insane. We saw real estate absolutely just take off. So in this particular video, I wanted to talk about why lockdowns are actually really good for real estate in a number of different ways. So I have a lot of information here, a lot of different points as to why this is actually good. So please make sure you like and subscribe, help to get these videos out to more people. So the first and most obvious question is, why would people being shut down and like their businesses destroyed, people losing money and living off government payments, why would that be good for the real estate market? You know, it would seem that we're taking buyers out of the market, people that can't go and buy real estate. Now, the thing is, while lots of industries are getting destroyed, like my own, not everyone during this period in time is losing money. See, banks are still making a ton of money. CEOs and shareholders of essential industries such as supermarkets, mining, telecommunications, all of these different industries, they've never been wealthier. They're making so much money. And in fact, in some circumstances, lockdowns are actually good for your business, depending on what industry you're in. Obviously, if you're in the entertainment business, you know, it's awful. You know, your industry is completely ground to a halt. But the thing is, if you're in an industry such as telecommunications, like that's an essential part of keeping people in contact. So, you know, a lot of people are going to need that, and people are stuck at home. You know, they might be using more data. So if they're on one of those plans, they're spending more money. Things like that. So there's still a lot of buyers in the market. You know, the public sector is still getting paid. In fact, politicians here in Australia haven't missed a single cent out of their paycheck this entire pandemic. You know, and in fact, some of them, which will remain nameless, have actually seen pay increases, which I think is absolutely despicable considering the conditions that they've put businesses under during this period in time. But, you know, that's another video entirely. But there's still people that are making lots of money. Many industries are immune to lockdowns, and that means that the people that work in those industries are also immune to the effects of lockdown. So what that means is there's still a lot of strong buyers in the market. Now, the other side of the coin is, who in their right mind is going to sell their house during the middle of a lockdown? Like, that's the last thing you want to be doing, like selling a house and having to move all your stuff in the middle of a lockdown when there's so much uncertainty about being shut down, opening up, all of these things, you know, that is what we've seen. Barely anyone is selling their home. You know, we've seen such a decline in listing volumes, especially in Australia, and I'm sure if there's lockdowns in the US, we'll also see that. So what do we get if we still have lots and lots of buyers and not much supply? I mean, prices are just going to be getting driven up even higher because multiple buyers will be trying to get properties which have even less supply. So there's more people on each property, if that makes sense. So on top of this, on the supply side, construction has also been stopped for 2 weeks. And, you know, this is still continuing in a number of different government areas around Sydney. Construction is going to be shut down for probably 6 weeks at least in these local government areas. So not only do we have plenty of buyers, we've completely shut down construction, which is going to exacerbate this supply issue. So if we have even more lack of supply and more buyers, what are we going to see? Higher prices. It's really that simple. Now, the other thing that I want to talk about outside of supply and demand is that when the economy is in the gurgler, it means that interest rates are going to stay low even longer. There's no way that the RBA is going to lift interest rates when the economy is just doing so poorly as it is right now. You know, it's anticipated in Australia that this particular quarter is going to be negative because they've shut down everything. And in fact, this lockdown is even worse than the last one. So I actually haven't even been able to operate at all in this lockdown, outside of some of the stuff I've been able to do in regards to lyric videos, things like that. The last lockdown I could still work, which was great. So this one is even more severe. So the RBA won't be able to raise interest rates because it will crash the housing market. Now, the RBA, their number one priority isn't the housing market, it's inflation. But if people are locked down in their homes and they're not spending money, you know, we're going to see deflation. We're not going to see inflation during this particular period in time. So as an anecdotal example, I've pulled my expenses right back during lockdown. The government has shut down my business and won't let me leave a 5K radius of my house, which is just crazy. But what that means is I'm not spending anything outside of my current mortgage on this property and food. You know, everything else, you know, I just don't really need to spend any money. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not doing anything. So what that means is there's a lot of people that are like me. And that means there'll be deflation as opposed to inflation. So that means that the Reserve Bank is even less likely to be lifting interest rates anytime soon, which is very good when you're trying to borrow money for properties. The other thing to note that in lockdowns, the government throws a lot more money into the system. You know, the government doesn't enjoy lockdowns because they have to spend so much money. We've seen that the Commonwealth and the state government have been pouring in billions of dollars into this because, you know, that's what they have to do to keep businesses afloat during this period in time. So the thing is, on the other side, these businesses will go back to be making money as they were before as the economy bounces back. But what it means is there's even more money slushing around in the system. And where's this going to go? You know, it's going to go into goods and services once the lockdown lifts, and it's also going to go into real estate and stocks, which is going to drive the price of them up even more on the other side. So there's so many different factors that actually lead to lockdowns being really good for real estate. And you know, it's so like there's so many different vectors for this. It's also really good for regional markets. It's usually cities that are only subject to these really draconian measures, you know, of not being able to leave your house. You know, most of regional New South Wales, for example, is relatively normal. You know, there's still the mask thing and you know, the 4 meter square rule. But the thing is that cafes and pubs, they can still operate. So things are relatively normal outside of that density requirement. So what that means is that people that live in the city go, well, you know, we've wanted to move to the country for a while. Screw this. Why are we going to stay in these lockdowns and be like this when we could move to the country, get a lot more bang for our buck and not be subject to these restrictions in the same way that people in the city are, you know? So it's really good for regional markets in that respect. So extended lockdowns will likely see the property market boom even more, which is really good if you happen to hold real estate. So personally, I believe that extended lockdowns are actually going to be really good for the property market. You know, there's so many different vectors which I've talked about, which are going to lead to higher prices. So who knows, it might be a good time to get into the market if you haven't got already, but of course, not financial advice. You need to do your own research and make your own decisions about that. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'd be really keen to hear what you guys think about these reasons and whether you think that's actually going to materialize. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Really helps to get these videos out to more people. You know, we're on the march to getting 1,000 subscribers, which is great. I've been working on this channel a long time, so hopefully we can get there pretty soon. I know that most of the people that watch this channel, I think it's about 75%, are actually not subscribed. So, you know, it's a simple thing. You know, I'd really appreciate that if you could do it. So thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Seeney, and we'll see you later.